What's going on? Boys, thanks to our patrons and Fiverr customers, subscribe to our Patreon free for behind the scenes stuff. Arm yourselves, life stuff. My stomach and heart hurt so bad, I feel like I'm gonna be sick. Now, there's a lot to talk about in this video, and I have a feeling we won't get to all of it, but we'll try. Now, limerence is a word I didn't know more than a week ago. A Chris Maltasanti edit got recommended to me, and its title was Limerence. And that sounded like a cool word, so I looked it up and had a mild crisis. Now, I'll describe it the way I understand it, because I'm cautious about going strictly by definitions, because when you do that, things usually get missed. But if you want a proper definition, you can look it up. There are tons of videos about it. And based on conversations I've had around this channel for a few years now, it might be familiar to you, something you've experienced. So my understanding of limerence is infatuation. Usually romantic infatuation, but not always. It's intense, it's lasting, and usually there's a ritual element to it. Something is wrong with you, and you are acting out this wrongness with you in ritualistic fashion using another person. And I already knew I did this. I talk about my major life relationships sometimes, and I do still believe there's a mystical aspect to this. This word, limerence, is one way of approaching the phenomenon, but in the past, it's never been an issue because it's always been mutual limerence. And I entered limerence again, except this time it was not mutual. It was with this sociopath woman. And this entire thing was confusing, because although she repeatedly made it clear that she couldn't love me, wouldn't love me, so on and so forth, she satisfied every single other thing I would typically associate with this proto-major life relationship thing, which is limerence. And thank God she hammered it home that she wouldn't give me what I wanted, couldn't give me what I wanted, because that helps. But it didn't change the fact that I felt more than I thought I was feeling, because I sometimes have a hard time telling what I am and am not feeling. My day-to-day life is dull and dreary. It is defined by emotion, but it's this low, rumbling negativity. Suspicion, paranoia, all warranted. And that's another thing, I don't understand how people have happy lives. I recognize it's because I'm a malfunctioning person, and I deserve to be shot and killed for it. But do other people just have more luck? It's not going out and trying to be happy and do positive things, because again, maybe I'm trying to be happy wrong, trying to be positive wrong. Anytime you try to do anything good, you get shot for it. Anytime you try to be happy, someone comes along and shoots you for it. It's much more efficient and safer not to want more positivity. Because wanting positivity and living in the world we live in will make you so much more miserable. And don't worry, I know you've got it all figured out. You, of all people, have figured out the key to living a happy life, and that everything is actually good and not bad. Observation and experience are totally incorrect. All you need is this one simple trick. I'm happy for you, and I'll be even happier when life harvests the arrogance and complacency crop it's grown. It'll be a satisfying harvest. Anyway, hard time telling what I'm feeling. Whenever I get an opportunity to feel anything other than what I normally feel, I dive in headfirst. And I feel everything that I can possibly feel, and I perform and I play it up with the explicit goal of enjoying this, taking it for all it's worth, because eventually we're going to come crashing back down, and then we won't feel anything or anything decent for an extended period. So with this woman, I knew I was feeling a lot of things, and I was expecting with this no reciprocation thing. Hammered it home, she hammered it home, I hammered it home in my own head. I continued to enjoy the positive feelings and was expecting... I was expecting a crash, but I wasn't expecting a crash like this. And it's not like she was going away forever. This was planned maintenance. But I was watching a video about limerence and uncertainty, and the dude was talking about these pigeon tests and reward intervals, dopamine intervals. So pigeons who are rewarded consistently don't want or crave that reward as much. They don't get as addicted to it. Because it's consistent, they know to expect it. Whereas pigeons who are fed inconsistently, I think they were pressing a pedal or something, those pigeons got addicted to trying to get the reward, and then when the rewards stopped being given out for pressing the pedals, the pigeons who were given rewards consistently stopped caring about it relatively quickly because there was a pattern to this, whereas the ones who didn't both refused to give up on pressing the pedal long after rewards had stopped being given out. And also they started doing weird experimental behavior, trying to figure out different behaviors to get the reward to happen in a different way. So they started doing weird religious-y shit because they're controlled by this uncertainty of reward. It's not even the reward, it's not knowing when or how to get it. With the pigeons who got it consistently in a patterned way, they stopped caring once it stopped happening. But the ones trained in uncertainty didn't, and they lost their minds. And that's the position I was in. And it's insane that it got that far, but it's scary to think about how much further it would have gone if she hadn't done me the favor of reinforcing the fact this will go nowhere. So although we're in scheduled maintenance, I went ahead and pulled the plug. Because although I'm fucked up right now, this fucked upness is far preferable to whatever insane pigeon shit I would have gone into or gotten into if I'd stuck around and waited. It's all just gruesome. I was about to say you don't know the pain, but maybe you do know the pain of feeling like... Well, it's not feeling like, because this is the case. There being only a handful of people on the planet you can actually speak with. And this is one of the reasons I am hesitant about using this mental health community terminology. It's useful here, but we need to be careful with it. Because these people act like anything outside typical socialization, but not even typical socialization, specifically mental health community socialization, is wrong. and it needs to be corrected. It's one of the reasons people who are deep into the mental health community don't integrate well with normal society, ironically. This way of interacting with the world, one, I don't think is something that can be fixed without sacrificing who you are, and you'll never actually sacrifice who you are. Maybe you can bury it deep down and repress it, but then you'll be living a lie the rest of your life. Not interested. And I also don't think there's something to this. Why are most people boring? Because it's not like, I mean, when you meet one of these people, you can tell what they are, what you are, and what they are, what you both are in relation to one another immediately. Within just a few words. Oftentimes, not even that. You can feel it on somebody else. Even if there were a true way to throw off these chains, become somebody else properly so that you don't have to feel this way, I wouldn't want to, because these are the moments that make life worth living. Feeling like a happy life, a worthwhile life, is attainable. Which is one of the reasons, although I'm not strong enough, I'm not mature enough to go on the way things are with this woman, I'm chickening out, I'm cowarding out of this. It was still an overall positive and useful experience. Now, there's a second half to this video's title, and that's what we're getting to. There is a sick, ugly pattern here that we're gonna have to figure out. Now, in the uncomfortable dissections of what you are and what you like, you will develop small working theories. Maybe this isn't the entire thing, but this is for sure part of it. Now, NTR cuckolding is one, it's not my primary interest, but it is a potent one. Subsidiary to my primary interest, which is size. Now, my working theory for that was my mother prioritizing my father and his emotions over mine. And part of growing up was realizing, expecting otherwise, it was stupid and selfish, but it still has an effect on you. But that's not even close to all of it, I think. Because with both my parents, there was a pattern growing up. Both of them. If someone or something is hurting me, that's my fault, and they're inclined to side with that person or thing that is hurting me. And that's an intensely negative experience, and then outside that, general emotional dismissiveness. And not just of negative emotions, as in you can't go to somebody when you're hurting or you need help, but also positive emotions, as in, I learned not to tell my parents anything I was happy about because it would be brushed aside or attacked. And I learned to keep my few happinesses inside, quiet, and hidden. But then on top of all that, these, again, from both of them, these weird moments of love bombing. Maybe twice a year. And that's not an exaggeration or an understatement. 2 times a year I would get very positive attention and affirmations and all these things. But it would never be for anything I would want positivity for, need support in. And oftentimes it was negative stuff, as in stuff I don't agree with, I would get affirmed for. It's like you're living your life dehydrated, dying of thirst, crawling through a desert, and then after you've already died, someone coming along and pouring Coke all over you. It's not, I mean, you wanted hydration, and technically you've gotten it now, but what you wanted was water, the good stuff, when you needed it. And you didn't get that. But that's the most fucked up part of it, because it created, like those pigeons, that awareness of an award and the deepest uncertainty. It drives you insane. So I think the reason I'm so fascinated with NTR is my model of love is, or comes from, emotionally detached people who have no qualms hurting me or like hurting me, like choosing other people over me because I am by default worthless, all while knowing there is some reward to be gained, but it's so inconsistent it drives you mad. And I think that's where this limerence shit comes in, or comes from, because there are two parts to this. First, I'm looking for a simulacrum who will hurt me the way I'm accustomed to being hurt, whose love I can win. And the thing about these people, these women, they usually want their love to be won. That's the thing. This is puzzle pieces. That's why in the past this has worked, this has been a positive thing, and the main reason they've failed has been a lack of ability on my part and on their part. Each side of the fence building itself one day to synthesize and complete the equation. You're able to give love, I am able to receive love. And then the second part is ceasing to be ideas to one another and then becoming people together. Living out the remainder of your lives, our lives, in functional and satisfying falling action. People act like, I don't know, people seem like they want their life to be full of climaxes, or they want it to be all rising action. The way I look at things, if you can get your climax early in life, then you can spend the rest of your life on the part you like. This existence, if you choose it to be, is cinematic, but it's not a movie. And I think in each of these situations in my life, it's been both, it's like a bell gets rung, and both sides meet up to try again to complete the ritual successfully. So far, all of the attempts have been failures, although some have gotten closer than others. This is the first time it wasn't even an attempt. Now, my gut tells me it was an attempt, mutual attempt. But this is an instance doublethink works, and it's better to view it as not actually a mutual attempt. It's more pathetic for it to be a one-sided attempt, but that's a lot easier as a pill to swallow. I couldn't deal with less. So instead of losing my mind, I settled with chopping off half my foot, which, thanks to her benevolence, was not cutting off an entire leg, but we're still back here. And we've learned... Well, I don't know what we've learned. Because I don't at all regret doing this. I don't hate the way this has turned out. I wish things would have been different. I wish this would have been a situation in which the ritual could have been completed, because it feels like I mentioned both sides of the fence are puzzle pieces. What you're trying to do is build yourselves up to a point you can heal your other half, and for your other half to heal you. That's this intertwining goal. That's why you work on yourself. I mean, it is for yourself, but it's also to do for another person what they need so you can have it done to you. I wish this would have been that situation, but I don't hate how things have turned out. What we've learned is something we already knew. We've just learned it. Another facet of it is everything will always hurt, but we've learned more about the way our limerence functions. We learned more about what it is and what we need to do to build ourselves into what we need to be. I knew I was forgetting something. I checked my notes. There's not a conclusion to this final point, more an observation on the emotional state. Some people are able to make me see how I feel about myself in comparison to them, what they are inside. And in comparison to these select people, and in this case, this select woman, I feel like nothing. Now, I understand that's not the case, but it is how I feel about myself. I feel like nothing I've done or could possibly do will never make me even slightly substantial, slightly human, worthy of existing. And that feeling is also probably in large part where the size and NTR interests come from. And I don't know what to do about this yet, because again, I can recognize that I'm not an insubstantial person. But I certainly feel that way in comparison to certain people. And there's also that switch flip side. We talked earlier about my parents siding with anyone or anything that would be hurting me, like it was my fault. We always talk about shadow work and getting to know the shadow and all this, and we do, and it does benefit, but there is a switch that when you feel like you're gonna die, you feel like death is a preferable option to whatever these people are going to do to you, gets flipped, and that is a different being. Maybe it's an extreme form of the shadow, maybe it's something else entirely, but I don't know what that is. I feel like I don't know it at all as a person. I don't understand it. I recognize what it's there to do. It's there to kamikaze. But that thing is a gay cannibal, and it feels like every bad moment in life adds another pebble to this monument of retribution or resistance that is building somewhere you have almost no access to. I'm aware it's there. I understand what it does, but I don't know it. So between the insubstantiality feelings and the gay cannibalism, I don't know what to do with any of that, but that's connected to all of these feelings, and I'm guessing we'll need to figure that out at some point. Like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you haven't.